Professor Biti Roi, it's such a privilege and pleasure to be sitting with you here in Jerusalem. You teach Zohar and Chasidut at some incredible institutions like Hartman Hebrew University, Zohar Chai. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So what is Jewish mysticism?
Yes. So, the word mysticism is a problematic word. Let's start with this, because mysticism is a Latin word, Greek word. It's not a Jewish word, like it's not, in the core of the Jewish mysticism, because we don't have this word. So, some people say mysticism, what is mysticism? Has 50 different interpretation of this word. Some say it's a mist with the ism, so it's nothing. So I would say that instead of Jewish mysticism, we should talk about like the Jewish concept of it, which will be Maaseh Bereshit and Maaseh Merkava and the Sod, Torat HaSod. I prefer to say this is what we're dealing with. This is the inner meaning of life, of the Torah, and it's not mysticism, because people think that mysticism is something that you cannot talk about, and we see that in our tradition they talk all the time about these things. So it's a little bit, take you off the right derech to understand actually what Jewish mysticism is about. So I would rather call it Maaseh Bereshit, Maaseh Merkava, as Mishnah Masechet Chagiga. It's very, very ancient. People think, Jewish mysticism, when did it start? Actually, it's very, very ancient, and it starts in the Talmud. The Talmud actually describes in Masechet Chagiga, there are 3 different types of topics. Actually, we'll see later on it goes everywhere. But at the beginning, there are 3 different topics of Jewish secret. Will be Maaseh Bereshit, actually Genesis chapter A, what's going on there? What's the Maim? What's the Rakia? What's the Or? Maaseh Merkava, Ezekiel chapter A, and Arayot, a few chapters in Vayikra, in Leviticus, that speaks about the Arayot. So these are the 3 components of the Jewish mysticism at the beginning. Later on, the Zohar will say, no, you didn't understand. Everything stands on the secret. En alma mitkaima el al raza. This entire world is not established or being, but on a secret. So everything is secret, and every chapter in the Tanakh actually has its own interpretation, inner interpretation, that actually can bring you the secrets of the divine, the world, maybe I would say the soul and everything. So I would describe like this, and I would also go back to Masechet Chagiga to say that in Masechet Chagiga it says, what this world is about, what's the foundations of the world. People are walking around, they're like sleeping, they are standing on things that they're not aware of what they're standing. And later on, a Hasidic, very well-known Hasidic master, the Sfat Emet will say, Lech Lecha. Abraham said, Lech Lecha. What is Lech Lecha? And this world was on the world. If you pay attention, you can hear, everyone can hear the word Lech Lecha, or Lechi, Lach, for woman. There was a guy, his name was Abraham, that listened to this. So actually, it's here. It's maybe obscure, it's maybe under the things, but if you are willing to give a chance to things that you're not seeing or not scientific, proved, are you willing to give this kind of reality to be part of your life?
Amazing. So how did it become part of your life? What's your origin story? How did you get into the depths of Pnimiut, of Kabbala, of Chasidut, of this sense of mysticism?
It's hard to say, how did you get your life? How did you found your husband? I think from one hand, my dad was part of a group with Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, we called him Adin, and with other people, that they became Choser B'Tshuva. And
they became religious.
They became religious, and they started to look for inner meaning in their life. This is one hand. The other hand is my mom, that wasn't religious, but she actually was very into the inner soul. She was a psychoanalyst, and she actually tried to understand, the inner part of what we talk about, of what we do. So maybe this, but I can't tell you exactly, the road that I take, the road not taken, how did I come to it, but I guess this is experiences that influenced my life. And then I had a great teacher. My teacher are Professor Yehuda Libes and Professor Moshe Eden, and I mentioned Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz that from another direction, not academically, shaped my way of thinking. And yes, maybe this thing. I started to study philosophy. I thought maybe it will organize my doubts, my research, search, and I find very good teachers, and I got into this time of. I can also say that I was very interested in Jewish study as a whole, and that Talmudic speaking, because I was a woman, it wasn't really accessible for me. So I think you find in Israel a group of Dafka women that are dealing with Kabbala. They are scholars. Many of us are from the feminine side of the map, that we found our way of studying Torah through the inner studying Torah.
So in an ideal world, would all Jews be mystics?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not seeing mysticism as a should. I see the Torah as a should. I see, this our traditional way and more practical way of life as a should. And it's interesting that this is the claim that Kabbala actually started from trying to give inner meaning to the mitzvot. So actually, it didn't start with, the big ideas, tzimtzum, shvirat kelim, sfirot. No. It started with Jewish people, started to give inner explanation to what they're doing. I'm putting on tefillin in the morning, what does it mean? So if you go on this stream, you say, actually, what means is the practical level that we practice, and Bezrat Hashem, it will go and last. And the inner meaning that somebody is giving to it, it's his own way. Two people can sit on the same bench in shul, and they can cover their eyes together, and they can say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, and their inner meaning is completely different. It can be completely different what the word Echad mean. Philosophically, mystically, it's okay. I also believe, as the Kabbalists in the 16th century in Tzfat, believes that everyone has his Shoresh Neshama, the root of his soul. And the concept of Shoresh Neshama says that we are all different. Listen, we are all different. Everyone has its own inclination. So I wouldn't press, I wouldn't vote for be a mystic. No, I think it's enriched a lot in our life. I think it's one of the most profound literature Torah that we have, and that we can open it and enjoy it and enrich ourselves with, but it's not a must, no.
So when one says Ein Sof or God, or whatever word you want to use to describe this being, what do you imagine? What do you see as this entity?
Yes. So again, as I said before, to say Jewish mysticism is a little bit misleading, and also to say Ein Sof is a little bit misleading, because the concept of Ein Sof, the infinite, became something that is so profound in the culture, in the Western culture, that it switched a little bit from its own original understanding. I would say that Ein Sof in the Western world, that inspired Borges and, and all kinds of people, actually, they came with the Ein Sof, Harold Bloom and many others, literature kind of people and philosophers, are very based on the Christian understanding of the Ein Sof, which is the ineffable, the one that you cannot say anything about it. Actually, the X, the one that you cannot give a content to. As opposed to that, I think we can see inside the Jewish tradition, the Kabbalah tradition, that Ein Sof, I will quote Rabbi Moshe Cordover, who says, Ha'ain hu yoter yesh mikol yesh. This Ein, this Nacht, as we say in German, and
Nothingness.
The nothingness is yesh, is, how would I say yes?
It's something.
It's something more than every something. So like the Ein is telling us everything is open. All the options are open. All the cards are open. And nothing yet to be done, but everything can be there. So in a way, it's a completely different understanding of the word Ein or Ein Sof that became so crucial in the Western world. And more than that, we found that actually for the Kabbalist, Ein Sof is something that you can achieve in your life. Like you say, Baruch Ata Hashem Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. This is the well-known bracha. And you start with Ata, which we say in Hebrew, second body, Ken Guf Sheni, second person. And Eloheinu is a third person. And what are you doing? You are actually praying, you are accessing, or you're trying to, access this Ein Sof. So actually what Kabbalists more were interested is not to nullify and to evacuate all existence and reality from the Ein Sof, but rather the opposite, to fill it with a lot of meanings, and then to tell you, listen, you can wake up in the morning and pray to the Ein Sof.
Wow.
So it's very interesting to especially when we talk in English, to clarify this concept. Like people like to say Jewish meditation. Oh, Kabbalah is Jewish meditation. Now, what is meditation? Usually, it's quietness. You sit against maybe a white wall, or you're evacuating your thoughts, and this is what it is, meditation. But when we see it in our sources, usually, and many of the sources speaks about speaking, sometimes even in excess of speaking. What do? You come to shul and you open your mouth and you say, and some people, if they're Jewish, they're also shouting. There's no, choir and then, a piano and everything. You are actually shouting or speaking. As my Professor Moshe Idel say, we are a community of tzlil, of vocal expressions. And this is the way to get to the divine. Not usually, I'm not speaking about everyone, but not usually through, evacuating your mind and sitting quietly, but rather the opposite. Through our ritual, the performing body and the performing mouth, I would say, you're accessing the divine. Maybe I should say something, to clear my intention when I speak about it. I speak in a generalization, which is not accurate. I mean, I cannot speak about the Jewish mysticism. I cannot speak about the Kabbalah. I cannot even speak about the Zohar, because the Zohar has all kinds of voices. And also, of course, of the Chasidut, a very well-known article of Yosef Weiss, who was one of the promising scholars, actually described typological differentiation between Breslov and Chabad. It's completely different in their motivation, in their style of religion. So I just want to clear it now. I'm not speaking about the Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism, Hasidism, no. But
it's your view on parts of it.
Yeah,
That's such an academic thing to say.
It's
like in the beginning of the thesis, you need to limit what it's referring to.
Yes, because
it's good.
Okay, academic.
You're trying to be true to it.
Sometimes I say academic. I don't like the word academic sometimes. Believe me, but We need to be accurate.
To be true.
We need to be true. Like the Baal Shem Tov is not exactly like his grandson. And this is what the beauty about it, that you have all kinds of understanding. Let's say the Hasidism. So this one, Reb Shneur Zalman Miladi, left and went to Russia. The other one went down to Romania. The other, everyone has his own personality, his own way of life. And he shaped Hasidism and in his own view. And therefore we have all kinds. Chabad is not Breslov, and Breslov is not Komarna. And we have a richness of this. As I said, Shoresh Neshama. Shoresh Neshama.
The soul root.
Yeah.
So what is the purpose of the Jewish people?
I don't know what's the purpose of the Jewish people. I guess it's to do good in the world. I see the Torah story is starting from where we are now moving. This is a movie. Taking the movie concepts. We are a long shot. And then there's somebody, Noach is not good enough, there's something. And then we say to Abraham, come here, lech lecha. And we start the whole thing. And I guess this is what the Jewish people purpose, you said. And also I would say about the word Israel, nachon, Israel. We say it's a theophoric name. It's a name that holds the divine within, which many of the Jewish names hold it. Like we can have the root Hanan, and we have Hananel, Hanania, El Hanan, we have everything. The Jewish people has to hold the divine in the world, and it says in the Midrash, Ha'avot hem ha-merkava. Our ancestors are the chariots. So we need to transparent, we need to work with, we need to expose in a way the divine in the world. This is the big mission. Who understand exactly what does it mean? I don't know, but this is the mission. And it says, going back to the word Israel, it has a few permutations and explanations. So one of them, Sarel, you are the minister of God in the world, which I always think we need to be very careful about it. It has to come with a lot of humility. It's a mission. It's not a power that we can be proud of or suppress other people. It's a mission. It's a sublime mission in the world. But Israel, on one hand, there is a very nice explanation that I love. It's acronym, actually, of our all ancestors and matriarchs.
All the patriarchs and matriarchs.
All the patriarchs and matriarchs with, Abraham, Sarah, they're all there. This is the Israel. We adhere, or we stick with this. We follow them. They started a way, as I said in the Torah, till Abraham, and then we start to follow them. This is one explanation. The other one is the acronym Yesh Shishim Ribo Otiyot LaTorah, which says actually a completely different thing. It says that Israel and the Torah, Israel are holding the Torah, but every one of us has his own letter. I don't know what's your letter. I think my letter is Bet, but everyone holds his own letter in the Torah. By the way, there's no 60,000, 600,000. There's no. But nevertheless, it's a number of the Jewish people. And everyone has his own letter. As we said before, Shoresh Neshama, and this minhag that everyone is writing one letter in the Torah. It's enough. If you find your own letter in the Torah, it's okay. So on one hand, I would say, like kind of a drash, on one hand, you have to follow, your origins. On the other hand, you, today, 200, whatever we are, post Shavuot, Tafshin Pei, you have to find your own ot, your own letter in the Torah. Now, letter has no meaning semantically. It's not a word even.
Only when it's with other letters.
Yes, but you have to find your own piece, even if it's very minimal. You have to find yourself in the Torah. This is your mission. Yeah.
And how does tefillah work? How does prayer work?
Tefillah, it's it's a ma'amatz. It's like
an effort.
An effort. It's a mission. It's something that I need to put myself in. It's not happening in its own. Like, you have to say before tefillah, that was actually tefillat Shmona Esrei, Adonai sfatai tiftach. Please, God, open my lips. So it's close, actually. How do we get to a minute that we feel that we're in front of God, that we can say ata? Ata. As we said before, it's a second person, you call it in English, guf sheni. How are you available to say, I believe that there is ata? So tefillah is something very hard to do. Every educator knows today that tefillah is a completely challenge to say, but how can you open your mouth and say it like, you have to say tefillah ala tefillah. Like Rabbi Nachman is saying teshuvah ala teshuvah, you have to say tefillah ala tefillah. Adonai sfatai tiftach is tefillah ala tefillah.
Saying a prayer on prayer.
Yeah, you're asking, Leah Goldberg, a very famous Hebrew poet, she spoke about Barcheni Elohai, Lamdeni Elohai, Barech v'itpalel, al sod ale kamel. Teach me, God, to pray.
Yeah.
It's not coming from its own. How can you pick up the phone, speak to somebody, and there's no voice from the other side? This is the challenge of the tefillah. And I feel that this is something of, it's a core of a Jewish practice, in a way that we can speak about God academically, and philosophically, and all kinds of concepts. But tefillah is a minute of a real ability to give the otherness, whatever will be, place in your life. It is not proved scientifically, and it's not part of what people speak about or can prove. And are you ready to be in this situation that you speak to something that you didn't see, you didn't touch, and really to talk to him? And it's a miracle, actually, because he is the omnipotent, whatever philosophically you can say about him, and you're talking to him. I mean, what kind of talking is this? It's like prophecy. Is it possible, this connection between the human and the divine? So I see it as a checking challenges in its inner time. And I think that it says in the Gemara, Chasidim Rishonim היו שוהים שעה לפני או 3 שעות לפני. So it's a kind of something that you need to organize yourself.
The original pious people used to prepare for at least an hour, 3 hours before and afterwards.
Yes, you have to prepare yourself. And what do you do in the tefillah? And later on, a Hasidic master will say, tefillah, it's all about dvekut. It's not just to believe that you're talking to the invisible, but are you there? Or can you cleave and attach yourself in a real way? Not, okay, he's there, I'm here. Can you actually do a kind of a meeting? You have a date. Can you be there? And they say ptila leshon ptil. It's a wick. Wick has 2 strings that are combined together. This was the ideal thing. But I think there's no, Jewish streams as Hasidism that put tefillah on the table and said, this is the domain of your personal, inner, reflective understanding of what's going on. Because they also spoke about machshavot zarot, alien thoughts, and what's happening in your inner life. And can you actually track your associative understanding and thinking, and what you do with this? So I think they saw that tefillah as, a personal analysis of yourself in the most profound way. What do I do there? Where do I find myself? Who are Am I proud with my tefillah? Can I be in anava, in humility, in order to give the divine to be with me? I think they're talking about tefillah is in the most, profound level of what does it says. In the Zohar it says, "Mima'amakim karati chaya." Mima'amakim karati chaya, the depth cycle, but it can be also from the depth of the divine. The Kabbalists think about a whole depth of the divine world. So it's both. I want to direct myself to the depth of the divine, and also to find this depth of mine. And I think it's an analysis in tefillah. If you're ready to take these moments of 5 minutes, 7 minutes, half an hour, whatever you do, I think this is kind of a testing point. Do you really believe in your ability to talk to Hashem? It's not very easy.
What about Torah study? What's the goal of Torah study?
In the Zohar, they call it itin. Torah gives you itin. Itin, it's in Aramaic, etzot. Suggestions and advices, how to live your life. For the Hasidism, they say it's itin for dvekut. How can you attach or cleave to God through the Torah? But, Kabbalistically thinking, we speak about the Torah as something that is open to. It's not a text that has, communication, semantic understanding of this word. The Ramban, Nachmanides, at the beginning of the Perush LaTorah, his commentary to Genesis, he says that the entire Torah, it's Rabbi Moshe Nachman. We know who he was. By the way, he's very, very important to the history of Kabbala because he was a big person, very, very famous, and I know people really admired him. So to say Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman has a Kabbalah in his commentary to the Torah, it actually moved the Kabbalah from the side maybe to the front. Nevertheless, in the beginning of his commentary, he speaks about this, that the Torah can be read in many, many ways. I can read the word Bereshit, Barashit. He created the 6. Or Bet Reshit, 2 beginnings. I can read it in all kinds of permutations. And actually he says that the entire Torah can be read very differently. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, I can cut the letters in many ways. I think this is a capsulate of the Jewish understanding of the Torah and life. Actually saying that the Torah is what it is, but it's open in a way. And it says that the Torah was written Esh chora al gabe esh levana.
Black fire
on white fire. Like the black fire are the letters and the white fire are the clef, parchment. But then it says that the white parchment is ro'o shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's the hand of God. So in a way the Torah is a piece of the divine. And it's not a textbook that we open a book, we take it from the shelf, we open this as a Torah, it says this, I can take another book, it says differently. But rather, ontologically, it holds the divine in it. And therefore, because it is the Ayin, because it is the existence of all existence, it can be everything. Everything is in the Torah, and in that way. Everything is inside. And there's a midrash that I really love, that says, just after Shavuot, the word of Shavuot. What's the word of Shavuot? It's the word Anochi. Anochi.
The first word of the Ten Commandments.
The first appearance.
God says I,
Yeah, Anochi. And in the Talmud it says very profound explanation that Anochi stands for, its acronym of Ana Nafshi Katvit Yahavit. I gave my soul, wrote it, and I gave it. So actually, I think the real Torah is to look for the divine inside it And when I say the divine, again, I'm not speaking about the Western understanding of the divine as the sublime, the ineffable, the one I cannot achieve, but rather, how does the rituals, the stories, and everything holds, in a way, the name of God in the world. I would say this is the Torah for me. The Torah is also in the Aramaic word is Oraita. And Oraita is light. So in a way, it's, in all the mysticism, whatever, the divine is light or water. This is a kind of abundance that comes to you. So to say that Torah is Oraita, and you listen and you hear the word Or, has to do with it. Don't pick up the Torah as something that is closed, and this is what it says. Shiv'im panim la Torah, and many more, because it's alma dechiru, as the Zohar says. It's a world of freedom, in a way.
Does Jewish mysticism view women and men as the same?
Mm-hmm. So I would say it's very interesting, because we believe that Kabbala was a traditional giving, but it's a composition of the Middle Ages. And of course, in the Middle Ages, women and men weren't the same, and their roles were very, clear, cut and clear. Nevertheless, I would say that Kabbalistically thinking, I'm thinking now about the Zohar, there's no other stream of thought in the Jewish tradition that actually are open to express and to dig in the experience of the other sex. What do I mean? I mean that in the Zohar, part of the divine world are two sfirot, are two manifestations of God, I would say, that are feminine. One is Bina, and the other one is Malchut. They are described in a feminine characters that actually creates this kind of digging into the other sex experience. Like Bina, for example, is a mother. She is nursing. She's giving birth. She is a mother. She is a spouse to Chokhmah. And think about Kabbalist, a man that is now describing the divine world in a feminine functions. So it's not to say we are the men, we have our own qualities, and the women are not important. Vice versa is to say, if the divine has his own, his own ability to be everything and to express itself in many, many ways, we won't give up on the feminine side and about what does it mean to be femininity, and we can describe God also as a woman in a way. Shekhina.
Yes?
The divine presence.
In a feminine sense.
So, in English you say the divine presence, but in Hebrew when you say Shekhina or Tfilah or Shabbat, they are all feminine words, because in Hebrew you have masculine and feminine. So it has a completely different understanding. Like you say, Lecha Dodi Likrat Shabbat. Likrat Kala. So you actually, grammatically thinking, Shabbat is a woman. But now you are the man, and you are accepting Shabbat, which is the bride. So I'm saying this kind of maybe fragility, I would say, or liquidness of the sexes is much more profound in Kabbalah. Reb Chaim Vital, in the 16th century, he enters his home, and he says, I'm kissing the back of my mother hand, because she's part of the Shekhina. She's part of the Shekhina. We just finished Shavuot. Rabbi Yosef Karo says to Rabbi Yosef Al-Kabetz, what do we do in Erev Shavuot? We want to get a revelation as well. Sinai was nice, but we want also. And who is speaking to them? Who is revealing herself to? The divine present, which she is the mother, and she is the Shekhina. So, if Tzfat wasn't the city of Kabbalah, I would say it's the city of the Shekhina. They actually live with her, with a feminine divine that they see as part of their life. And they see the woman, their daughter, their sisters, as taking part on this Shekhinah, like Vital is kissing the hand of his mother, saying this. Or Rabbi Moshe Cordovero is saying, we came to that Tzfat to be in Chek HaShekhinah, in the hug of the Shekhinah. So in a way, I would say they are more exposed to this kind of ability that the divine will be also feminine, which is amazing, 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 yes? Or to say that Elohim is also Elohima, yes? It's also a divine femininity. And I'm the Kabbalist. I'm not just giving, I'm not just the, I'm also the receiving. As opposed to the divine, I'm becoming feminine. Daniel Boyarin wrote about the Talmudists that they are a little bit women. Here they're women because they want to receive from the divine. And whoever is receiving, he is the feminine in the couple, yes? So they're much more flexible in their ability to move from a place to a place, I would say.
Interesting. So what is the biggest obstacle to living a more spiritual life?
The cell phone. I mean, our attachment to things in the world and our obstacles to see through, to understand that there is something beyond. And I'm going back to Masechet Chagiga in the Talmud. People are standing in this world and I don't know what they're standing on. And people are awake, but they're asleep. And we are not in this world, we are not open many times to speak about things that we don't see and we don't believe in scientifically, and it's not on the TV. Like your ability to open your life. And I would say that I was once in a funeral. It has to do with this place. I was in a funeral, and what struck me about the speech of the son of the person who died, he said, I thank you, my dad, for telling me legend when I was a kid, telling me about Peter Pan and telling me about all these kind of stories. Actually enable myself to be adult that is open to all kinds of options, this world or the world, how do you say in Peter Pan, or
Never, never land.
Never, never. Or is there maybe if we'll have a world just with kids, or maybe we have a world, with these three, like Asimov gives us, these three rules. Like to educate ourselves to think that everything can be different. That whatever we see is not stable at all. We are very inclinating to this side of, maybe this was our problem now recently. We think that we know. We think that everything is closed. And just to open up our sight to it. Nevertheless, I would say also from the other point, from the religious point of view, you need to understand that you never know, The Zohar has a very beautiful midrash about the word Elohim. Elohim, he spread it into two words. Why? Because that's what Jews are doing, spreading letters, We brought up a few explanations and examples just with our talking, but to do a deconstruction, like Derrida, to deconstruct everything is a very Jewish practice, I would say. So the word Elohim in the Zohar has two words in it that combine together. One is Ele, these, and the other one is me, who. Now for the Zohar, Kabbalistically speaking, me is the Sfirat Bina, who is above, she's very concealed and everything, and Ele are the Sefirot that you can, it's Chesed, Gvura, these things that you know. What was the sin of the people of Israel? The sin was that they said, Ele Elohecha Israel. That they did a calf, or they didn't believe that Moshe will come. They spread the who, the me, from Ele. And they worship the Ele, the concrete, what you can see and you can point on. Yes, Ele. The other people think that God is me. They think that he's who. Who is talking to me like who? I don't know. But if you can combine these two, I would say the doubt, the things that you're not sure of, again, physically, visual speaking, and the ele, your concrete life, you got the Elohim. Yes, this is what combines these two together, and you cannot give up on one of the sides. El Elohecha Israel, and me from the other side. You need always to combine. I think this is what attracts me in this Jewish life, that you actually enable yourself to give a chance to a world that me is presence and Ele is presence.
Beautiful. Why did God create the world?
Wow. I don't know. I have no idea. I can say, that in the beginning of the Zohar, there is a drasha, a big drasha, a very beautiful drasha, that in the center stands a beautiful picture of a rose, Shoshana. Okay? They start Bereshit with a Shoshana. They want to ask Bereshit. It's not like we translate it into English, in the beginning. Bereshit, grammatically speaking, and you can see Ibn Ezra on the spot and many others, it's very weird. Bereshit is a smichut. It's like, Bereshit for what?
Yeah, it's a construct that should be connected to
right,
something else.
so grammatically it doesn't work. You cannot say in the beginning. It's not. So many people are thinking about it, and the Zohar has its own understanding of Bereshit. The bet is not with the Reshit, but rather for the Reshit. Can be also in Hebrew, like Berachel bitcha ktana. Jacob is saying to Lavan, I work here for Bereshit, Berachel bitcha ktana. So Bereshit is for the Reshit. And they put it in the beginning of the Zohar, telling us, the Bereshit in the beginning is not in the beginning. It's actually, what's the end? Where it goes to. And if you want to open up to this idea, Bereshit is for the Reshit. And the Reshit is the people of Israel and the promise. But even though...
all the times that the words Reshit are used.
Reshit, Ken.
It's like what Rashi says in the spot.
Ken, Reshit, in the Midrash, it's Chala, it's the people of Israel. But to say, Keshoshana ben Achochim, that's how the Zohar starts.
Song of Songs.
Song of Song. Like a rose
among the thorns.
Among the thorns, Ken Rayati ben Abanot. So it says, listen, you're going to have Nukhba in October 7. You're going to have the Shoah. You're going to have Spain.
Spanish Inquisition.
Ken, you're going to have many, many things. There are going to be a lot of thorns that are going to prick you and kill you and rape you, and you're going to have in a very troubling situation. But don't forget, Keshoshana ben Achochim, God is saying as a traditional reading of Song of Songs, Keshoshana ben Achochim ken rayati ben abanot. This is the verse that the Zohar starts with, telling us, this is the Bereshit actually. So maybe if you want to take this story as an option, maybe we are going to this kind of direction. This is what we need to keep the promise. We need to believe in the promise. Sometimes it's hard to believe in the promise when you read the newspaper and you hear, especially now, but this is the direction.
So do we have free will? Do we have agency in this process?
I think that free will, we need to assume it. There are people that didn't believe in free will, also from our tradition. But as Maimonides is saying, in the middle of the tractate of, Tshuva, we have 5 chapters, and the middle one is speaking about the free will and telling us everyone can be righteous like Moshe or a sinner like Yerovam, and it's on you. The Ravad came and say, oh my God, why did Maimonides did so? Why did he open up this question? It's better he will leave it. But what I like about, speaking about free will, it's what Rav Nachman of Breslov wrote. And he actually wrote about, he said, this is a story, he said, I had an answer to the big question that bothered, by the way, not just Jews, Christians, Islam, if there's free will, does God can determine what will be, whatever? And he said, I had an answer to it. And I wrote the answer on a piece of paper, but I lost it. This is the story now. I love this story because it tells us that we are growing in our life from a stage to a stage. Like we develop our relationship with our spouse, with our children, whatever, or we develop our mind, we also have to develop our religious concepts of life. And what basically is saying, we can ask, are you nuts? What do you mean? You had the answer and you wrote it on a piece of paper, you go to the grocery. What does it mean that you wrote it like this? And that you're telling us that you lost it? But then it says, Reb Natan, his disciple actually is explaining and he's saying, every time he wanted something new. So we have to take into consideration that our religious perception or personality is developing through our years. And sometimes an answer that was meant to 14 years old, it's not an answer for 25 years old or to a person who's 47. And this is what he meant by this. I had this answer for my stage, my personality, my mood, I don't know, of this
that moment in time.
That moment in time. And we need to move on. We need to move on with this. So I like this, it's like a philosophical question. We need to move on with our perception.
So what about Mashiach?
The Messiah.
What is that?
Mashiach is the concept of hope. Mashiach is the concept of Yeh Tov.
It'll be better.
Yeah. In the Intifada time, a big poet in Israel, his name is Chaim Guri, wrote, after all the, terror attacks and many, many hard things, he wrote a poem, and the title was Yehi Ra. And if you read it, you feel you stop a knife in your stomach. What does it mean, Yehi Ra? It's like...
It'll be bad. It'll be evil.
It will be bad, yes. So in a way, I would say Yehi Tov, it will be good, is even more crucial than Shema Yisrael. In a way, Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker, or
the
yes?
eternality of the Jewish people.
Yeah, there's something about this that it's in our DNA, and I think this is the idea of the Messiah. He will come like this, like that, with a donkey, without a donkey, from heaven, There's all kind of explanations, especially in Masechet Sanhedrin and Talmud, that sometimes it's opposites, opposites ideas. Nevertheless, it's the hope that it will be better. At the end, it will be better. The tikva, the word of tikva, hope in Hebrew, is the kav. You have to follow the kav. The kav.
The short, the root of
the root of tikva is kav. Kovei Hashem yachlifu koach. The people. As you have to follow. Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto says, whoever has a tikva can take himself out of the Gehenom. I'm just thinking about out
of hell, so to speak.
Yeah, or people in the tunnels, yes. Yeah. If you have a tikva, you can go out and do like this, like the girls went out and says, it's something inner, it's a personal, maybe it's a DNA of the Jewish people to say, Pharaoh, yeah. Okay, another Pharaoh will be, because I think this kind of a tikva that actually we're all practicing every Shabbat. We take 25 hours of pretending we are princess and prince and princess and queens and kings.
It's a messianic taste.
It's messianic. Me'en olam haba. It says sometimes ma'on le'olam haba. It's a dwelling of the olam haba. So what do? We fantasize that, and think about people, in the Holocaust and in the Galut, in the diaspora, in the all kinds of troubled times. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By the way, we say in Hebrew Rishon, Sheni, Rishon LaShabbat, Sheni LaShabbat, not the
Each day is the first, second, third towards Shabbat.
to Shabbat.
It's
We
counting
count
off.
for the Shabbat, not for the Mercury and, So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, people were spitting on you and putting you on the side and whatever, yes, discriminating you, humiliating you, whatever. And you come home, you put your garment, whatever, you take the silver cup. Wow, you're now a king. You're pretending you're a king for 25 hours. This is practicing hope. And every Chag, actually, every holiday we are practicing hope. This is an idea that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs actually developed a lot. It's very nice. Pesach, we were slaves. Every Chag, we are practicing hope. We are practicing it and practicing it in order to, as I said before, in this funeral that I was, how can you internalize fantasies into our life? It's very important. The imagination.
Expand our horizons and our imagination.
Yes, the imagination that even though we're now in the trouble, in the pit, I can be out. It's a kind of something that is a kind of a riddle, but maybe we're practicing it so well.
That it can actually
Maybe
happen.
we're not. I don't know. Maybe we're losing ourselves. But I think a Messiah is this idea.
And what about the state of Israel? Is that part of the final redemption?
I don't know what is the final redemption. I don't know. I would be happy to be a fly on the wall, but I don't know. I'm not a prophet, but I hope so. I hope this is something that is giving us another stage of Kisei Hashem, like Israel, Merkava, this kind of way, maybe, and maybe in a very challenging way. I mean, being in diaspora, you don't have your own police, your own army. How are you fighting in a war and you still holding your values? It's something that we didn't know it before. So it's all kinds of challenges that gives us another stage of expressing this kind of being Israel ba'olam.
What is the greatest challenge facing the world today on a macro level?
Wow. To believe in good, to do good. Just to believe in a good heart and to believe that the good will win this kind of battle and bloodshed.
How has modernity changed Jewish mysticism?
How does modernity change Jewish mysticism? In a way, it opened up a window to Jewish mysticism. After basically, we saw that we cannot prove all kinds of things and that the rational thinking is not the only way and the science has its own limits and everything. In a way, it opens up a way to Jewish mysticism. Wittgenstein, the big philosopher, saying, he's ending his tractate and he's saying, מה שאי אפשר לדבר עליו, מוטב לשתוק אודותיו. The things that we cannot talk about, which is a lot after these days, מוטב לשתוק אודותיו. It's better to be silent above or on them. So when you silence, when you are diminishing your kind of fantasies about what you are and what you can achieve, maybe a window of this kind of respecting, this kind of understanding of the world have this more place. And also I think that every generation brings mysticism to a different stage. Like Rav Kook for me was a mystic. And he not just, it's not just organized mysticism until him. He wanted to achieve experiences and also to develop his own commentary on the inner side of the Torah. So I think it's also a challenge for us to take it in a different level, because it's esh chora al gabe esh levana. So we need to take it and do with it something.
What differentiates Jewish mysticism from other mystical traditions?
Yeah. So again, we're coming to the tricky word, Jewish mysticism and other mysticism, which is Islam mysticism or
Eastern or
or
Christian.
Eastern or whatever. Actually, we see also many influences, like, just studying now about the Sufism, that the son of Maimonides, Rabbi Avraham ben Arambam, actually wanted us to, and there are all kinds of things that we find in Tzfat. By the way, they were next to Sufim, and Sufim is considered to be the Islamic mystic stream. So there's all kinds of, influences. Maybe we can say, and again, in generalization, I'm afraid to say something, but in generalization, that the Jewish mysticism is very text-oriented. We based ourselves in text. Not every one of all the Kabbalists, they were more experiential, but the text is it's the basis, and we go and back to the text. Like the Zohar is a commentary to the Torah. Nachmanides wrote commentary to the Torah. Not that people didn't write a mystical diary. We can think about, Rabbi Yosef Karo that wrote his own diary. Daytime he was writing the Shulchan Aruch, and nighttime he had this kind of visions and he wrote, and it's also experiential. But I would say that the text is very important to say. We're not so much going on the way and seeing a light and somebody's talking to us. It's more into a normative, I would say, borders of the Jewish tradition. And again, this is a generalization, but in a generalization way of speaking, I would say this.
Does one need to be religious to study Jewish mysticism?
I don't think so. I don't know what's religious and not religious. What stage are you? A very well-known Torah of Rabbi Nachman. Apropos Shavuot, we said, Moshe nigash el ha'arafel asher sham ha'elohim. And Moses approached the smoke, the mist, the cloud. So Rabbi Nachman is developing a whole Torah Samech Dalet, very well known, about the Halal HaPanui. The open space, domain. So some people can go through their doubts and their questions and the mist and the smoke. So I don't know to say who is in, who is out. Every one of us is doing his own voyage and his own, journey to get through the Arafel and the mist. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, it's not somebody from the side, to get to the Elohim. So I don't know what's the journey of everyone.
So it's for everyone because everyone's on a journey at a different stage anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. There is the Kabbalists want people to be immersed in the Kabbalah when they are actually did a whole sets of things that they did.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to tell you about it. I don't know exactly the journey of people. But I do say that, as I said before, the Jewish mysticism sits and started and evoke from understanding the mitzvot. And the Jewish mysticism is based on the Torah. So these are two components that are very Jewish practical ways of being there.
Can it be dangerous? Can Jewish mysticism be dangerous?
Since Masechet Chagiga, I'm going back to Masechet Chagiga, this is the anchor to the Jewish mysticism journey until today. I would say that it can be dangerous. 1 out of 4 didn't succeed to...
3 out of 4 didn't succeed.
3 out of 4, yeah. 3 out of 4 didn't succeed at doing it. In a way, it exposes you to all kinds of sides of reality, that if you're not, what I would say, strong enough, stable enough, maybe open enough, it's not clear what was exactly, Yes, and this is why we see during the Jewish history that mysticism and Kabbala was under debate many times. Gaon Vilna was so afraid from the Hasidim. He didn't want to meet. רב שניאור זלמן מילדי, וואו, היה מכה, פאות, זקן, everything. He didn't want to meet with him. He ran out of town, being afraid that these are Shabtaim, and maybe they're trying to do something that is digging into the borders of the Jewish tradition. If you want to say that if you believe that the Jewish tradition is so open and free, it has its own dangers. That's why it was under discussion, until Reb Chaim Volozhin came and said, "Oh, they are okay. They are okay. They're keeping mitzvot. It's not. Don't be afraid. They're not, hidden shabtaim." It took time. So in a way, not everyone wants to open up the norms. Yes, in Hasidut there is an ideal man, is Chanoch from the Bible. Chanoch tofer min alim. Chanoch was a person that was sewing leathers to make sandals and shoes. And he is the ideal man of the Hasidim, that in every hole that he made on the leather, he said, L'shem yichud kudsha b'richu Shechina, for the sake of the unification of God and the Shechina, the divine presence. So what everyone will do like this, outside of the Bet Midrash, outside of the shul, just to do something that you do with a stinky leather and you are worshiping God. So it's a kind of challenging the borders of the normative way of what we do as a community. And on the other hand, it's inspiring.
For sure. So you study all this text for decades of your life. You're a grandmother and a mother. You're a wife, a student, a teacher, a citizen. How's this practically affected relationships in your life? And can you give one example of a relationship that this is actually affected?
This is my life because this is what I eat for breakfast and lunch and dinner. These texts are my life. I swallow them. I consume them. I love them. This is what inspires me as a human being. I don't know what to tell you. This is something that I can't, Pinchas Mikor, it said that the Sefer ha-Zohar kept me in Yiddishkeit, kept me in the Jewish life. In a way, I feel like this. Before being exposed to this kind of rich world, psychologically, spiritually, whatever we can say about it, literally, poetically, whatever. I'm speaking about like teenagers, it's a little bit boring, it's a little bit not flat. If you want to feel that you are actually living something that is lively, God is calling chayut in Hasidism, not almighty. He's a chayut, he's a
life force.
Life force. So if you want to live like this, you have to be inside these things.
Amazing. We've talked so much about different questions and you've brought ideas to them. Can you share just one idea to conclude? One thought that animates you or that's just meaningful you that resonates right now that we can learn together as we conclude this conversation?
So I'll bring something that I taught this morning, maybe. It's a drasha of the Maggid Mimezerich. He's considered to be the second generation for Hasidism, which is not true, but we'll put it aside. Nevertheless, he speaks about a very, very not well-known pasuk in the Torah. Actually,
a verse.
What?
A verse in the Torah.
A verse in the Torah that says that we need to build trumpets, Chatzotzot kesef, in order to call out of silver, in order to gather the people for war, whatever. This is the WhatsApp for the ancient time. Nevertheless, he finds up in the word Chatzotzot he again,
Separates
we
the
spoke
words.
about separating the words and deconstructing the words, that it's a Jewish habit. A Jewish habit that is very important because it says something about the freedom, the undogmatic way of thinking. And he says, Chatzotzot are Chatzitzurot, two half. Actually, he relates, if we'll dig inside the text, he relates to the Platonic mythos about splitting the human being that were like a ball and cutting it together. I put it in aside. Nevertheless, he's interested in saying that we and God are half shape, Chatzi Tzura. Every one of us in this relationship is not enough, as opposed to the philosophical idea of God as the shlemut,
completeness,
the wholeness, everything is. Says God actually made himself Chatzi Tzura in order to be with us Chatzi Tzura. And what's our Chatzi Tzura? It takes the word Adam also and split it into two. Dam is blood. We are actually blood and bones, and this is what we are. And Aleph is Alufo Shel Olam, is the divine. And actually together we are Adam. Now say Adam is not the divine is calling the angels to make like the Midrash, but rather he calls us to be together with him, Adam. And he says, what's a kesef? Kesef is kisufin, is longing to this Chatzitzurot to be together again. So in a way I feel this is something that is going with me, because we are a human body. We are performing many things in our life with our body, and we also are open to this Aleph. And are we willing to be open to the Aleph? And are we willing not to give up on the Dam, on our physical side, flesh and blood, whatever that's mean, with the divine? I think this is the challenge. This is the scope that I'm dealing with in my life. Yes, I would say this one.
So we give you a blessing that you never give up on that, and that you can continue to inspire people through your study and through your life to connect the Aleph to the Dam.
Amen.
To bring these Chatzrot together, Kisufin. And thank you so much for your ongoing work to bring this powerful Kabbala to the Jewish world.
Thank you, Benji. Thank you very much.